Bill O'Reilly, Michael Oreskes, Charlie Rose, and now NBC Today host Matt Lauer. He's the latest major media figure to fall in the great reckoning over sexual misconduct. And as with the other cases, questions are now being asked about who knew and potentially covered up for Lauer's bad behavior. The axe fell swiftly.
Just moments ago, NBC News Chairman Andy Lack sent the following note.
A rattled Savannah Guthrie went on to read that NBC had abruptly fired Matt Lauer for sexual misconduct.
While it is the first complaint about his behavior in the over 20 years he has been at NBC News, we were also presented with reason to believe this may not have been an isolated incident.
Lauer's colleagues appeared shell-shocked that his 20-year career had literally dissolved overnight.
And I will tell you right now, we do not know more than what I just shared with you.
But protests within NBC that no one knew nothing are raising additional questions. For months, Variety had a story in the works.
Among the allegations they uncovered, he allegedly dropped his pants in front of an employee and reprimanded her for not engaging in a sexual act.
Variety says Lauer's indiscretions were openly talked about within NBC, and some of his former co-workers, like Katie Couric, even hinted at it publicly.
He pinches me on the ass a lot.
But so far, no higher-level NBC staffers or executives have spoken up about what they might have known. And on-air claims of ignorance are not sitting well with the accusers.
According to our sources, the co-anchors were aware of some of these allegations.
Variety says more accusers will likely come forward, and NBC Chairman Andy Lack is promising a full investigation.
But there's a lack of trust in the current management and the current environment, given that this was allowed to go on for so long.
This is a story with many episodes to come. First of all, to say it stretches credulity is an understatement. That Andy Lack and Jeff Zucker and a lot of the other executives at NBC and NBC Universal didn't know about this. I'm not going to call anybody a liar. I just don't believe them. I flat out don't believe them. I think the ease with which they let Matt Lauer go says a few things. They were afraid about the bottom line more than anything else. They were afraid that they were going to start losing advertisers. Matt Lauer was making $25 million, and he's getting older and balder. And this had as much to do with his firing as any kind of sexual charges, because they've known about this for decades. And Andy Lack should have looked himself in the mirror and said, as long as I'm firing Matt Lauer, I'm going to fire myself too. That would have given everybody some satisfaction.
Well, I have to say, when he was fired as instantaneously as he was, the natural reaction is to say they knew all along. Otherwise, they wouldn't act so quickly. And it was absolutely instant. I don't think that we can say whether the higher-ups knew or not. It seems logical that they might have, but that's where the reporting ought to focus at this point, and not just at NBC, but at CBS with Charlie Rose and at some of these other organizations as well.
Well, the details of this case are so striking. I mean, now we have got a range of perpetrators and, in the media and in politics, and we can see the ranges of behavior. This was particularly shocking and particularly predatory behavior. This is not the after-work drinks flirtation. No. This was, directly, this was locking colleagues into a room with him and, essentially, not physically forcing himself upon them, but making them very, very uncomfortable.
I think, the soundbite we just saw from Katie Couric points to the problem. Whether she was joking at that moment or whether that was sort of a sign of what she knew, which I believe she probably did. There's this culture in the industry, and I can't speak for other organizations or other kinds of, whether it's on Wall Street or wherever. I can speak for media. There is this culture. You're around people 24/7. You're traveling for weeks or months or years on end during campaign years. And there's this level of comfort, wrongly so, I think, but there is this level of comfort where things are said or things are done much like they would be done within a family. And the things you kind of wink at and say, it's that crazy uncle who does X, and nobody would ever report them. And over the years, you see a lot of things and you hear a lot of things. And as Katie was joking right there, you sort of say, oh, well, that's what they do, right?
Sorry.
No, but I think that's part of the problem, is that's how it has been in the industry for so many years, probably since the very beginning, and that is what has protected people and then you throw on top of that people who bring in big ratings, and you can't get rid of them.
I would love to know what was going through her head as she shared that detail, and then people laughed in the background. I'd love to know if she thought she was making a joke or if she thought she was making a serious point that was going to be taken as a joke. Also, did anyone else catch that Comedy Central tweeted out a video of this elaborate skit that Matt Lauer and Willie Geist put together in which they were smacking each other on the butt, and there were slow-motion replays, who touched whose butt when, all supposed to be very funny. If you're a victim of harassment by a Matt Lauer-type figure and you see it being joked about in this way, of course it's going to create a climate where you're not going to be comfortable coming forward and sharing what happened.
But the other thing to remember is, I take your family analogy, Dan, but he was not the crazy uncle. He was the powerful patriarch in a sense. I mean, these were acts not just of, again, flirtation and joking. These were acts of power. This was what happens to your ego when you are so powerful and you're surrounded by people who will do anything and protect you because of your power, and all of a sudden you start to behave outside the bounds of human decency.
I completely agree with you, but I just was pointing out with the Katie Couric, even if she were joking, then that points to the problem too, right? If you're joking about this kind of thing, then how can a young intern think that it's wrong? Like morally they might think, okay, this is the wrong thing, but if everyone's joking about it, then this is acceptable. I just have to go along with the program.
And then if in the moment you're confronted with a demand like this, you freeze, you don't know how to respond.
In the industry now is that it's also become political, because people are going back and looking at that Matt Lauer interview with Hillary Clinton and saying he was abusive to her, he was disruptive, he was interrupting her, he dismissed her because she was a lowly female.
I want to make a small point about the reporting that has been problematic with this, and that is the button. That's the big takeaway.
That didn't bother me.
Everybody's talking about the button.
That was a security issue.
Well, I understand that, but the way it was initially reported, it made it sound like it was specially done for Lauer.
No, that's not true.
We still haven't gotten an explanation as to whether he was able to lock people into his office or not. That hasn't been reported. These are kind of basic questions.
I thought the button was a red herring, too. That didn't shock me.
They should have explained it that other high-profile people have buttons as well for security
issue.
Exactly.